Hey, Erin, we're going live. Who do you want to do a shout out to?
Hey, you know what? I'm going to do things a little different today, and I'm going to give myself a shout out. I
I
think
love that.
I'm always working with others, acknowledging others, nurturing others. So it's time for me to acknowledge myself a little bit. So shout out to me. Woo, woo.
Erin Gallagher, here we go. Hey guys, we are back for another way of looking at things that's funny, a funny way of looking. And today we've got Erin Gallagher on the show. Erin is a Akashic life and business coach who helps visionary leaders heal on all levels so they can ignite their confidence and lead without fear. So let's talk about that today. Erin, how are you and your beautiful cat today?
I and my little baby Sprout are doing great. It looks like she wants to make an appearance today. Maybe I'll get her like in the frame exactly on my shoulder here.
I think you should do that. There's no problem with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing really good. Really, really excited to be here.
Excellent. So we're going to talk about things, all things Akashic today, starting with the Akashic Record. And let's start with the basics. First of all, Akashic Record. Everyone's heard the word. Tell us what it is, so we all have the same frame of reference for Akashic Records.
So where I like to start when I talk about Akashic Records is energy, right? So every what is it? Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, right? So it goes without saying that there has to be some kind of, energetic field that holds all of these actions in order to process and then allow for a reaction. And so the Akashic Record is sort of like an energetic database, a master library, if you will, for the soul's path. So it can be your individual soul, it can be a group, it can be a cat. I could open the records of my cat. And so, because everything has an energetic vibration, everything makes decisions, has beliefs, and whether it's a human or not, everything has kind of an energetic vibration. So these vibrations get stored in the Akashic Record. I'm able to open and get this information and hear information other than my own channels. I can kind of get messages from your guides in the records and see what the next step for you is, etc. So it's really exciting and cool.
Okay. So when we talk about Akashic Record, are we talking about things that have already happened, things that are going to happen, or things that are happening now? What tell me more about it.
So what I like to say is a lot of times people would think the Akashic Records are everything is predestined and all of that. No, we all have free will. We can decide whatever we want to decide, and then basically, our outcomes are inferred and by what we do. So what I always tell people is the Akashic Records are all possible outcomes. So I'm able to kind of, if somebody's asking a specific question, I can say, okay, these are all the outcomes I'm seeing. This is the outcome that I'm seeing based on what you usually do. But if you make decisions and free will choices that can shift those, you can shift those at any time. So I like to tell people it's not a psychic reading or anything like that. It's just all possible outcomes. And I can see all past experiences you've had, all current experiences you are having, because a lot of times, you know how we get confused and there's a lot going on in our day. It's because we're experiencing different like dimensional awarenesses and everything going on at once. And we can also see future possibilities as well. So it's kind of like an open database.
That is astounding. So when you work with coaches, one of the things that you do is you use the Akashic Record to work with your coaches. What are the things that you are helping them with, and how have you found that it affects their lives?
Well, so a lot of times coaches and leaders come to me because they know the leadership they hold inside of them, and they're wanting to really get to the highest and greatest version of themselves within the coaching and the leadership work that they're doing. And so a lot of times coaches and leaders, we have imposter syndrome or anxiety issues or speaking from the stage issues. So I'm able to really like tap into your Akashic Records, see where those fears, phobias, blocks came from, alleviate them, kind of demystify them, and find out the origin story for what's going on, and why it's happening. So a lot of times, let's say someone has imposter syndrome, meaning like they don't feel like they're the right person to tell you what to do. It could be in past lives or something like that. They were always telling people what to do, and they said something one time and they got in trouble for it, or they got burned at the stake for it, something like that. So they have fear now. And if I also want to say something, if you have a weirdness about past lives and everything, just think of it as your ancestry. So we have all of this ancestry and generational trauma and stuff that we've experienced in our grandmothers, and all the way back to caveman days. So we have a lot of that we store and hold within our bodies. So I'm able to release like ancestral patterns that are no longer serving us as well. So if past lives aren't your thing, just think of it as kind of like your ancestry as well.
Gotcha. So are the actual when you go and look at the Akashic records, and you said it's different than being a psychic, right? So
Yeah.
what is that difference? Because I've talked to psychics before who also do past life readings and things like that. What's the difference between this Akashic record and what a psychic might do?
Well, everyone has different thoughts on this. And that's why when I teach what I do, I always say, like, you know what? Every experience we have is vast. We have free will and all of these things. So, yes, I am a guide and a mentor and a teacher, but I never tell people this is how it is. This is how to do it, because everyone's different, has a different perspective, right? So, the psychic experience for me seems to be sometimes like this is what's going to happen, or this is how it happened before. And your experience might be different. So I never want to come in and say like, this is how it is. Also, if I am to see something, I might see something that I see happening. I could tell you, I see based on your trajectory, the choices and decisions you've made in the past, what trajectory you might make here, like 90%, but you have the free will choice to say, no, I'm not going to do it that way this time. So that's why I kind of think of, I do call myself a psychic, but it's more like these are the possible things I see now. But based on your free will, you can change it. But I mean, a lot of times, let's be honest, humans are kind of like, we have this baked in kind of, this is how I've always done it. And I always call it like fixed mindset versus growth mindset. I think a lot of people want to have a growth mindset, but it's kind of really hard to like, just go, you know what, I'm going to be open and see what happens. And so yeah, that's kind of like a little background on Akashic versus psychic type work.
So when you're looking at the Akashic record, are you looking at mostly what people and biological entities do, or can you see other events that might have happened or will happen?
Yeah, so this is the interesting part about teaching the Akashic Records is it's so vast, you can see every single thing. So when I'm teaching, I like to like start small and say, let's go to this part of the records first. And I think of it as like chambers or hallways. So it's easier kind of for the human mind to understand. So I'm able to not only tap into your Akashic Records, but let's say I wanted to open the Akashic Records of Earth and ask her questions about herself, ask the planet questions. I can do that. And so, but sometimes when you're teaching people, you kind of want to start small and don't blow their mind too fast. So we kind of stay small, but yeah, you're able to see the experiences of yourself and how that coincides with or interacts with everything around you, whether it's human or not, or animal or mineral or whatever.
When you're reading the Akashic records, do you have to be in a meditative state, or is it something you can walk around and you can see things as you're going, or how does that work?
Well, I always tell people that most people that come and see me and come and find me are like energetically pulled toward me. And what I see and feel is that a lot of people have already been in their Akashic Records without knowing it. Or they come to me and I say something and they're like, you know what, I had a dream about that once. Or yes, I know what you're saying. And we have these kind of connections that are synchronicities or outside of the realm of like the normal, oh, how we met, and so it's really cool to be able to make those connections.
Wow, is Deja Vu part of the Akashic record? Is that something that we go like, oh, I've been here, done that before? Is that part of the Akashic records?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. So Deja Vu is like, it's interesting. I've heard a lot of different aspects of this. What I like to think of it as is because we have experienced so many dimensional awarenesses, and because we're not only experiencing myself as Erin in this dimension, I'm also experiencing all other experiences I've had. And that's why the human experience can be so overwhelming sometimes. And so, yes, if you're having deja vu, it could be you like tapping into different dimensional awareness or different lifetimes and kind of having like if you're popping into a different awareness and you're seeing yourself, all of a sudden it feels like, whoa, I'm seeing myself in the same thing that I experienced. Another teacher that I really like to follow, she said something about deja vu. Most of the time we're so focused on the past or the future that we're never fully, truly 100, even if we think we are and we're in a meditative state. We're never truly there. And what she was saying is deja vu is just really being super present. And you're so present, it feels like, wow, I'm really here right now, which I thought was
I
really
have
cool.
had those deja vu moments, right? Where it's like, in fact, I think just last week I had a deja vu moment with somebody I was talking to on the show, and I'm like,
Yes.
see how this goes. My biggest problem is that I can't remember like what the rest of the deja vu was while they're talking.
Yeah, I know. Then you're like, wait, hold on. It's like you lost it, or it went in and went out.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was another thing I wanted to mention about accessing the Akashic Records. So a lot of times people think it has to be some like, say a prayer, be super grounded. It's not, you can, it's all about intention. I think we've spoke about this before, that when you set an intention to, okay, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to open my records, I'm going to like write down things that come through. A lot of times people will be like, is it me or is it my guides? And I'm like, you are a divine being. So it doesn't matter whether it's you or them. If you're getting information and you're writing it down or it's coming to you, it's sacred. So it doesn't, I mean, it is cool to have that, like, oh, it's from above or somewhere else, but know that whatever information you're getting, when you say I'm setting the intention to open my Akashic Records, is from that space, because you've set that intention.
So for everyone that's watching right now, and for me, because I'm greedy, what is, if I wanted to just as a beginner get into the Akashic Record, what's the first thing you're going to tell me to do? What am I going to say, be, sit, all that kind of stuff? How do we start to get into the Akashic Record?
Well, two things. The first thing I like to say is just to sit in there and see how it feels. Like open the records and just be like, okay, what does this feel like? For me, when it happened to me, I literally felt like a celebration. I have had a lot of loved ones that have passed. I felt all my loved ones that have passed come in, and like, it was like a party. It was like, you're here finally. Like, they were like, you finally cracked in, like, thank God. And I think this is also because it became such a huge part of my dharma, my teachings, my leadership work, that they were like, yes, you finally, like, you're in now, you can start the actual journey, So I always tell people first to just kind of like feel what comes up and trust the feelings. Because a lot of times we're so like brain machines, we want to hear things, or we want to write things down, and sometimes, or we want like direct messages. Sometimes the Akashic guides just show us like the color green, or they have us feel tingling in our chest, right? So, and another question that I like to have people ask, that's more like a statement than a question, is show me how I am seen, known, and loved in the Akashic Records. Show me how I am seen, known, and loved in the
Seen,
Akashic
known, and loved.
Records.
So if somebody wanted to play with this today, they could actually just get in a nice little quiet space, relax, maybe into a meditative space, and then show me how I'm seen, known, and loved, and then they wait for an answer.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And, what I have noticed is what works for me. So I created kind of my own little prayer or incantation to kind of open my records. So I have this prayer where I put in my name and everything. So you can Google like Akashic Records prayer, or you can make your own. Like, I am now opening the Akashic Records in the sacred awareness of who I am as, and you can say your name, and then the records are now open. And you
Wow.
can just kind of create a little like stanza or something for yourself. I like to do that because it kind of adds a little bit of, like I said, that sacred energy to it. And also, what I like to think of is, if you're thinking like, we're very 3D, we're third dimensional earth beings. It's very dense on earth, right? So if you're in the Akashic Records, you're kind of rising up into other dimensions, like let's say 5D and beyond. And so as you're rising up there, I like to call it like the elevator of light. So I like to
Mhm.
sometimes think of myself like a huge elevator that is like exuding light, and it opens and I walk inside and I hit 5 to go up to like 5D, right? And then like feel my spirit as it rises up. And that kind of helps me also to kind of reach something else other than my human experience.
So when you're inside the records, like you're talking about, you've opened it up, you're there, you see the people from your past. Can you bring somebody with you, like now, like if like you and me, could we go together and like be in the Akashic Record together?
Yes, I love this question. So yeah, you can, because all souls, so as human beings, we always think like, I'm born, my name's Erin Gallagher, I was born on this date, I live this long, I die, right? And it's like, really though, in the Akashic Records, souls are souls are souls. It doesn't matter whether you're alive or dead or whatever, so you can tap into any soul, really. And what I like to do in my Akashic Records classes is, at the end, one of the last things we do is we have one person ask questions, and we have the whole rest of the group open their records together. And then we
Nice.
all get messages at the same time. So I'll be like, this is what I'm seeing for you. And then someone's like, piggybacking on that, I see this. And you can also, like in my classes, we all say the prayer together. And whether if we set an intention in the beginning to open the records individually for each of us separately, then that happens. Or if sometimes I will ask my guides to create a name for whatever group I'm in. So they'll be like the soul of compassionate beings or whatever. I don't know. It just comes up. Right.
Uh-huh.
And so I'll open the records for the soul of compassionate beings. And then we will all kind of go in together and just see and say, just, it's a place to play. Right. I think some people with spiritual things get really serious. And it's like, no, your guides want you to play and have fun and be like, seeking and journeying. It doesn't have to be so like super serious, right?
I think you're right, because you're right. Everyone wants to and close their eyes and like be like I am elevating off the ground and all this kind of stuff. So now, when you're inside the Akashic Record, I'm going to just take a leap here and say it's not like astral projection where you're going around and seeing different things. There's a different feel to it, right?
Yeah, there is a little bit of a different feel because astral projection's kind of lucid. It's more like you're staying in your human experience and you're saying, okay, as my human experience, I'm going to project into this, and connect with different beings and stuff like that. It's kind of like more pointed. I think Akashic Records is kind of more open and it's like, whoa, let's see what's in here, let's see what I'm shown. And projection is kind of like more pointed and like I said, more lucid. It's like, and this is something I like to say when I'm talking to people about their records versus, let's say, spirit guides. When you're interacting with spirit guides, you're interacting with Erin in this lifetime. What do I want to learn? What am I here for? In the Akashic Records, it's more, who am I now? Who am I in different dimensions? Like, what does my energy light grid look like? All of these like outer like kind of topics, and you can ask things like, who am I? What's the meaning of the universe? Do aliens exist? Where are they? It's kind of like a place to kind of play and ask all those questions.
And then after you get out of the records, like what is it that you really want to walk away with? I guess with each session or something, just one answer, or do you want to walk away feeling better? Or what is it that you get out of it?
So for me, like I said, everyone has a different intention. Some people are just seekers and want to find out stuff. For me, it's healing. I'm a trauma specialist as well. And so I'm adept at knowing how to walk people through, because spiritual experiences can trigger and reactivate certain traumas from childhood, from other lifetimes. So you want to, work with someone who really holds a very strong space. And knows how to hold space for you and everything you're experiencing. Now, I don't want to, have people like say, "Oh, it's scary" or something could like affect it. No, when you're in the Akashic Records, you are protected by angelic light, and there's nothing that can like hurt you. It's there to protect and support your soul in its, evolution. But yeah, so it's just a really just amazing experience that way. But yeah, I always like to think of it as, I like to have people walk away with some sense of healing or some sense of acknowledgement, like, wow, okay, now I understand why this happened. Why this happened for me, not to me, so to say.
And the healing that you're talking about is spiritual healing and mind healing, not necessarily I've got, broken wrists and I want to heal that. It's that kind of healing.
Correct. Yeah. I like to think of it as like energetic, emotional, and spiritual healing or awakening. So I always call it, when I'm in somebody's Akashic Records and I see like phobias or fears, I see it as, I call it energetic calcification. So it's kind of like, I broke my left arm when I was 5. I can still feel kind of this like, calcification here. It's kind of like that in your energy. If you think of your body, if you break a bone, it affects you. If you think of something where energetically or emotionally you were broken or something, your aura kind of cracked open, you can kind of go back and heal those wounds. So for example, when people are always saying like, you can't change the past, and I'm like, well, you can't change the situation or the event, so to say, but you can close your eyes, go back to that place, that person you were, look at it neutrally, say, that's interesting. I see that person said that to me and I experienced it this way. Okay, how would I like to maybe shift that perspective and experience that way? Then you're slowly kind of going into those and they, a lot of people call this inner child healing, but you're able to kind of go into your inner child or past lives or whatever, heal and look at these things in a different way, release them, and then come back to your current experience, like feeling a lot more released and open.
Gotcha. Yeah. And that's different than, say, Reiki, which is doing energy healing now. You're looking at the past, trying to heal that past wound, and then get that um, healed so that you heal what's in the future slash present.
Yeah, yeah. See, I'm a Reiki master as well, so it's interesting to talk about Reiki too with this. So like Reiki, I think it helps people because it's kind of like it's almost like energetic massage. You're sitting here, it's physical. If you have a person on your table, you're able to kind of like move and release and physically move the energy around. When it's the Akashic Records, I'm guiding someone into their own Akashic Records and helping them do the work. So
Okay.
when you go to a Reiki practitioner, they're mostly helping you release stuff and you just kind of lay there. You're doing part of the work too, your spirit is. But with the Akashic Records, it's more like you're doing more work and going in and clearing things a little bit more, I guess, consciously. And Reiki is the same type of work. It is releasing energetic calcification, but with the practitioner kind of like doing the work for you.
Now, I've asked people before about Reiki, and they say they can do Reiki long distance. And you're thinking if you've got Reiki, there's someone right there on the table. Which is it? And
Yeah, you can do it both ways. And I'm laughing about this because I actually like to do it distance better.
oh,
And the reason for this is when the person's in the room, they bring their baggage, they bring their fears, they bring their ego, right? Like everything comes with them along. And when I'm doing distance, I'm able to. So, what I do, everyone does it differently. But let's say I have an appointment with you at 4 p.m. So, I
okay.
have you lay down in bed. You can even read. You don't have to be like, lay down in bed, relax. Even if you're doing dishes, just doing something like intentionally, softly, being present in your body. And then at the same exact time, I'm sitting on my couch or I'm wherever and I'm doing kind of like whatever Reiki healing and release. And I get a lot of messages. So I have a lot of messages from so it's kind of like an Akashic Reiki because I'm
I'm just
hearing.
asking if you combine the Akashic with the Reiki.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can. You can. You want to make sure if you're doing that you know really well how to already work in the Akashic Records and you already know how to do Reiki such that you are honoring both modalities. Yeah, I'm able to kind of mix the two. That's my specific session, type of session. But yeah, it helps me because I'm able to tap in directly to the soul and I don't have any other noise. And it really helps a lot. I've had people tell me like I bawled through the entire session. I didn't even know you were there, but I knew. Or they feel energy moving through or feel a great sense of release. Sometimes you will feel like energy's moving around and then afterwards kind of sometimes it gets worse before it gets better if you haven't done a lot of energy work
Uh-huh.
before. So I always give people a long list of aftercare, like ground yourself, take an Epsom salt bath, listen to binaural beats or meditations, to ground yourself back in.
We have totally got to get people into like talking to you and finding you and being with you because this is just fascinating. I don't even know where I want to start with you. I'm like, do I want
I
an
know, I
Akashic
know. It's
session? Do
funny.
I?
I actually have trouble with that too, Michael, because I'm like, when people ask me what I do, I'm like, how do I do this elevator pitch? Because I want to talk for 8 hours because it's like Akashic Records, Reiki, energy work. I do light language too. That's a whole other thing. So it's like light language, and then it's trauma support. Used to be an addict. I was a drug and alcohol addict, and I healed myself holistically from that. And I was a crack addict, meth addict, and then alcohol, and I healed all that
And you healed
holistically.
yourself holistically with Reiki and
Reiki,
Akashic.
Akashic Records, spiritual work, trauma support, inner child healing, light language, all of it. Yeah, I taught myself how to do it, and then I healed myself, and now I support other people in healing it. So I do addiction work as well, and sobriety, support with that kind of work too. So it's like I don't know how to put that all
I
into a
don't even know
nutshell.
where to start. That's amazing. Well, if people do want to get in touch with you, for sure they can get to your website, and that's Erin's spiritual.
Air
Can you say that?
inspirational. So it's kind of
Or
like,
oh,
yeah, it's like the word
inspirational
I always
Erin.
say. It's like, yeah, air inspirational. It's one word. It's funny. My friend Shidon, she like gave me that name, and because before I was even into spiritual work, right when I was in the middle of getting to it, we'd name people. So we had a friend named Chad, and we named him Chadorable. And so so she was like, "You're air inspirational." And then later, when I named my business Air Inspirational, she was like, "I should charge you royalties for that."
That's a good one.
Yeah.
By the way, for all the people who are watching on YouTube right now, be sure to click that like button and follow us on The Funny Way of Looking. And we're going to definitely have Erin back up here again. You're on Facebook also at
Yep.
Erin from Boston.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
funny because I was like, I made myself Erin from Boston years and years ago when I lived in Boston. I was like, man, I shouldn't have made my name a little bit more generic because now I live in Washington State.
Erin from Planet Earth. There we
Yes,
are.
exactly. Erin from many dimensions.
There we go. And you're inspirational on Facebook, which is awesome, just like that. I really like that. You need some patches that go on your
I
shirt and
know.
stuff
I
like
was
that.
thinking that too. I'm like, I need merch. I have little coupons and stuff, and I do vendor booths sometimes because. So a little cute thing is that I started my business as a tarot business. So my business became, and that's another thing. I also am a tarot master, so I do tarot and tarot classes. So I started doing tarot as a tarot business and did a lot of vendor booths and tarot readings, and then it became everything else. So yeah, Air Inspirational started as a tarot and oracle reading business.
Well, without a doubt, we've got to get people in touch with you. I want to be in touch with you,
Yes,
and
I'd
maybe we're
love
going
that.
to
Let's do a
walk through these
session
Akashic
sometime.
records together. That would be
Yeah.
awesome. So thank you very, very much for being here. And I had a blast doing this, and we'll
I
do it
did
again.
too. I did too.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Michael. And I'll be telling everyone about this show because everyone needs to be watching it. It's amazing.
Awesome. I appreciate it, and we'll check you next time.
Okay, bye.